Hi, hello everybody, and welcome back to D Plus S Weekly, the show about shows exclusive to Disney Plus, where we talk about these shows episode by episode, week by week, for our enjoyment and yours. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin Chanel, Griffin D. Patton, and with me is the wonderful, the amazing, the making weird faces to stay awake, Mr. Miss George. How are you doing?
I'm doing what I can. It's really late. Let's do this.
We are talking, folks, about WandaVision. Sorry, no, we're not talking about WandaVision. We're talking about Agatha All Along.
Before we hit the button, you said this isn't WandaVision 2. And what did you call it?
I mean,
As soon as you hit the goddamn
the
button.
bit is there for a reason. It's got WandaVision 2. We're not staying by that.
Shouldn't have said that then.
No, that's entirely on you. No, I'm kidding. We're talking about episode 6 of Agatha All Along, Familiar by Thy Side. Of course, folks, if you don't want spoilers for the show, this is entirely a spoiler cast. That's entirely what we do. So, go watch the episode, come right on back if you don't want anything spoiled for this show, the MCU, Marvel in general. Well, the state of comic books even, I don't know. We get on some weird tangents here.
Mephisto when?
Mephisto when? Who knows? With this character in particular, who knows? Of course, folks, you remember you can also check out the normal show where we talk about movies, games, TV shows, etc. You can go check out our most recent episode right now of that, which would be our Kingdom Hearts episode, our first ever video game episode of the show, which is exactly as chaotic as you would expect it to be. With all that said and out of the way, which we're jumping right into it this week, we got one hell of a reveal at the end of last week's episode. Jumping right into it with this week, we got Billy's story leading into the show.
Before we even get there, I have something I want to talk about. And this is something this episode does really well. It's not 30 minutes long. They could have copped out and come at us with a shorter episode. Just, oh yeah, here's the backstory, blah, 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 end credits. They hit us with some meat after that reveal last week, and I appreciate it.
How long
49 minutes, I think, was the runtime with credits.
Man, it did not feel it.
It
fast.
Flew.
Yeah, I totally didn't even clock that. I was not paying attention to runtimes when I was watching this last night. But last night was also one hell of a night for just watching stuff for me. Because this is just inside baseball a little bit. 6 o'clock rolls around, turn this thing on, watch it. Great, had a fantastic time. Also went and saw a movie last night. Got back to saw the new My Hero Academia movie. Very fun movie. Also made me realize I really need to catch up on the show.
I saw it was on Netflix the other day. I think I might actually restart it. Because I think I got halfway through the first season.
Yeah, I stopped watching a little bit into one of the more recent arcs, not to spoil anything. But got that, came back, it was about midnight, immediately turned on the new 3 episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina. It was a fantastic night for me last night, but that's not the point of this. This episode of WandaVision is one of the best, or not WandaVision, I did it again.
Agatha!
This episode of Agatha All Along.
Agatha All Along. That's what they settled on after the 17 title changes.
Again, the challenges, the changes were a bit, it turned out.
I know, but I'm leaning into it.
Fair enough. One of the best episodes of the show so far. I say that every week, but it just keeps being true.
I'm going to be interested to see where it goes from here now that we have a better sense of what teen. I'm still going to call him teen. I can't get over the reveal. Eventually it'll be Billy or William, but for now it's teen.
I've been struggling to not call him Billy for the last 4 weeks, so
there's also that. But no, it's knowing that Tommy is what's at the end of the road, I think is a really nice touch, knowing what the relationship is between the two of them in the comics and with where we left both at the end of WandaVision as, souls without bodies. And they went full comic book here. I didn't expect it, and I'm glad they did. They leaned heavy into Billy Kaplan's comic book origin of Jewish kid, 13th birthday, car crash, dies, soul ends up in body. They went
I wasn't expecting them to be that
and
faithful.
I'm so for it. No, I did not expect this in the slightest.
And I really loved how they did it. Unfortunately, Billy's from New Jersey, and we just have to accept that. but also that's just my hatred towards New Jersey.
I mean, so is Tommy in the comics. So what's your point?
Yeah, and I still hate that as well.
Look, I
don't know
you're
why
an
New
Eagles
Jersey's
fan,
catching.
but you don't have to hate an entire state just because of your team. All right?
Yeah, sure. It's just because the team's not because New Jersey just sucks. I've spent like
I've never been. All I know is that it has Atlantic City, and it has all of the New York football sports played in Jersey for some reason.
And honestly, I've maybe spent a total of like 3 hours in Jersey. I'm just giving them shit.
If you're listening and you're from Jersey, 1, thank you for listening, and 2, we love you.
Do we though? Anyways.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Anyone that is willing to put up with this shit, we love.
Yeah, fair.
Unconditionally.
Yeah, I love how accurate though this is to Billy's origin, especially with seeing like how the room in particular. I think is one of the really unique things of seeing it at the very beginning, like when he first gets back.
Well, it's still like, William's room.
Still William's room versus when it's Billy's room later on. Seeing the progressions of that in how he's dressed, how he acts, because he is a different person, literally. How he's working with his parents, how his boyfriend. Like, I loved all of how all of this meshed together to give us
also
a really
the mind reading.
Yeah, giving us a really full version of this character. It's really fun. Like he has one of my favorite lines in WandaVision. Billy does when Agatha is watching Billy and Tommy, and he says something along the lines of, "I like it here. It's quiet. You're quiet, Agnes, in your head." Because the weird mind reading powers have always been something for Wiccan. He also has these weird blue electricity powers. So to see it all actually happen here in Agatha All Along, in a way that makes sense, in a way that is both respectful to Billy's Jewish heritage as well as the witch side of all of this stuff, I think has been done really well. One of my favorite things in all of this is how they weaved everybody into different portions of this backstory.
Not everybody.
Almost everybody.
So Rio is missing, which, I mean, makes sense because her character's history appears to be with Agatha more than anybody else. But it is interesting that everybody else has backstory here. Plus the reveal that Lilia is the one that put the sigil on Wiccan, which I didn't expect to be the case.
So
I figured it was some sort of weird thing to do with the hex comes down and somehow Scarlet Witch is able to do some shenanigans.
So I want to get to that because that's great. But hear me out. William dies.
Yeah.
Rio's there.
Straight up. Yeah.
Rio, because we are our theory based on some evidence is Rio is death. So William dies. Rio's there. Rio played a role, even if she wasn't. Even if Aubrey Plaza wasn't in the episode.
We did see her as part of the backstory because that twist or that revelation has not been made to the audience yet. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if we flash back to the car crash and she's there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like she's been hands in all of this since the very beginning, probably.
I mean, going back to William Scratch or Nicholas Scratch, more likely than not.
Oh, I mean, that's our theory at least so far, right? Of like that's why
more or less confirmed at this point in all but confirmation, really.
Mm-hmm. A little weird that she wasn't in this episode at all. Just like at the very end, I was expecting to like maybe see her, but
yeah, I mean, also the fact that Agatha just pulled herself out of the death mud. Does that mean that Lilia and Crazy Potions Lady, whose name I can't remember, also did the same?
Jennifer?
Yeah,
she has the most normal name of any of the witches in the coven.
Look, you got Agatha, you got Rio, you got the one who has mommy issues,
Alice,
you got Patty LaPone, and you got Potions Lady.
And Jennifer.
There's your coven right there. No, Potions Lady. Snape. We'll call her. No, we're not going to do that.
Sashir Zamata does not deserve this.
No.
She is amazing in this.
Yes. And I do hope that they come back in some way, shape, or form. Because,
I don't think they're dead.
Again, Patty LaPone steals every moment of screen time she has in this episode.
We did get a to metagame a little bit. We did get a mid-season trailer. I don't know if you've watched it.
I did not. I did hear that it was kind of not spoilery, but it was very much leaning into, oh my God, it's Billy Maximoff. What could happen next? And I saw that online. I'm like, all right, I don't need to watch this.
Yeah, the first line of the trailer is, what is Agatha's line from this episode of what does Billy Maximoff want from the road? It's very
we know what
spoiler
he's
heavy.
looking for now.
But like, I'm pretty sure there were a couple shots in the trailer that I didn't recognize that had Patti LuPone in them.
We'll see.
So I'm pretty sure they're coming back. But
I am too.
To bring it back around, though, you were talking about the sigil. I love that it was her. Like, she didn't know what was up, but she knew
exactly. Well, she knew exactly what was up.
True, she does see the future.
Well, and I mean, even the palm reading, his lifeline was split in two. Why was it interrupted? Why would a lifeline be interrupted? Because a life ends and another begins in that same body. It's not rocket science, but why?
I mean, we got another really great thing from Patti LuPone's character, how she'll do like the tarot card thing. Mm-hmm. But this time it was the Tower Reversed, which is very much a card about personal growth. Or a poll about personal growth. So to use that for this was very, very accurate into what Billy's going through here of, shit, I guess I'm a teenager now.
Yeah, but also just like she does have a moment that pulls her away from the present, and knowing that she's had these premonitions, maybe she saw Agatha in William Kaplan's future, or she saw, Wanda. She saw something witchy that gave her the wherewithal to plant this sigil on William Kaplan's body.
Yeah, and then
knowing that his future would lead him to the road.
Yeah, presumably also having her forget what she had seen, which I think is the interesting part of the sigil, because we did establish last episode before, that whoever writes the sigil,
it was episode 4. Yeah, Agatha says, the one who cast the sigil may also, and she in this episode, like she does the sigil, puts it in the jacket. A boy left this. Can you make sure it gets back to him? Who? I have no. She immediately has no idea. So like the sigil has already taken effect, which I thought was really, really well done. And then seeing Billy's, like, that still feels weird to say, Billy's perspective on the interrogation.
So
and
good,
him
right?
saying his name and having Agatha have no idea what's going on. And then slowly those cracks start to form in the interrogation. I thought it was so fun to see it from that perspective.
Dude, I love that. And then also
that.
having it mirrored at the end when he says, William, Billy. And he's like, you can hear me now. Great. Let's get to fucking work.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have a couple of things to get through before that. Like, there is kind of him picking up the pieces, figuring out what's all's happened. I love that Billy wakes up and the first thing he says is Tommy. We thought going into all of this, right, that it was going to be his goal to get his mom back. Totally forgetting that Tommy was a part of all of this. Speed is a great character. I love Tommy. But he's definitely like not what I kind of thought that they were going to really emphasize here. So I'm really happy that he's getting his time with his brother, even if he isn't actually physically there.
I'm kind of glad that is the case because, like, Billy's had 3 years to sort of start to piece this stuff together. Not really understanding or grasping the situation with Tommy, but understanding the hacks, what went on, discovering witchcraft, discovering Agatha. Presumably some of that is going to also involve research into the Scarlet Witch. And even if he doesn't know that she was at the center of all of this, knowing that his tie is strongest to his brother, honestly, just it speaks back to the strong familial bond between Wanda and Vision and how that was imbued in the essence of these kids that didn't exist, but how that's carried over into reality, I think is really, really... it's lovely to see because WandaVision was a show about family. And to see that continued here in one of its core pillars as a pillar for one of its core characters is really, really nice to see that thread of continuity. As much as I had to like beg Carmen to remember who reveals a lot of this information to Billy in what might be the best MCU cameo since Nick Jackson in why did I say Nick Jackson? Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury in the original Iron Man film. I was there. It's late. Get off my back, Griffin. I can see the judgment in your eyes.
I didn't say a word.
I can see it in your eyes.
Go off. Yeah.
No, I'm going to stop there so we don't get claimed.
Yeah, having Evan Peters come back for this episode was really fun. I loved how they used Ralph in this episode. Like, he's gone full off the deep end.
Full conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat man.
It's one of my favorite things. It's like, I just get to the point of feeling bad for him, and then he'll say something crazy again.
I'll give you discounted tickets to my one-man show. I really need to.
The funniest one for me was, she took over my house. She brought the property value way down.
And then getting that moment later when we're in the interrogation and she's wearing the Boner Family Reunion shirt.
Like, I know it was a stupid bit from in WandaVision, and it was one that I didn't love. And was
no one liked it at the time,
but now it's great.
They got us all. We're all thinking Mephisto. We're thinking, multiverse. All these. Nah, just some dude named Ralph.
Dude, I was watching it happen again, where I saw some people theorizing before this episode came out of like, what if Evan Peters is Tommy? Of course he's not.
No, they will cast a new actor that they haven't revealed yet, and it'll be Tommy, and we'll be fine. Mm-hmm. But it was funny watching this with someone who's as big of a fan of WandaVision as Carmen, my wife, is. I'm like, oh my God, they're doing it. They're going to do the thing. It's Ralph. It's Ralph fucking Boner. She's like, who? And he turns around and he's like, oh, Evan Peters. Yeah, he was in the thing. It's like, but it was a boner joke, God damn it.
I do also love that they gave us the moment with it of like him turned around, hat on in
the slow
darkness.
Reveal.
Like we didn't know exactly who it was going to be.
I'm sitting there for probably a good 45 seconds to a minute, just going, Carmen, they're doing it. Oh my God, it's happening. They're doing the thing.
And his
what?
Screen
what is it? What is it? Oh, it's Ralph?
And it's the best thing too with his screen name being Bonerific 69.
Bonerific 69. It's New Master 69.
I was gonna say it's right up there with the Thor bit. I love every time Evan Peters.
What if it had been new? What if it was New Master 69 and we find out that had been Ralph Boner before the Hex?
I'm waiting for sub movie. Like I don't think it's enough of a bit to ever actually come back. But I'm waiting for some movie to like bring that back in the most shocking, hilarious moment you've ever seen.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get Jimmy Woo at some point in a post-credit scene of him playing Fortnite, and the screen name is New Master 69.
See, hear me out here. We know Amadeus Cho's coming into the MCU.
Presumably.
Well,
yeah,
like,
I mean, there's
official.
been hints. What? When?
I thought that was official. Like, I could have sworn I just saw something being like Amadeus Cho's coming in something.
So I hadn't seen anything confirmed, but it does make sense with the fact that Marvel has greater creative control over that character. It's bringing another.
Yeah, podcast from Ghostbusters is the actor.
What?
Yeah.
When?
Amadeus Cho. He will appear first in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah,
like
Logan
if you look at the time frame from Age of Ultron, we're looking at that having taken place now, what, plus 5 years, so like 9-10 years in the past in the current MCU continuity, since they are 5 years in the future. So you look at a character like Helen Cho introduced in Age of Ultron. It presumably at this point, her having a teenage son doesn't seem that far-fetched. So yeah, go off. Let's do it.
Probably closer to middle school.
I mean, depending. Could have been a young kid.
Amadeus Cho can kind of be any age from like middle school to high school.
Well, and it's also, was he blipped or was he not? Because then he's either 5 years older or 5 years younger, right? So like they can play with it. There's a lot of range they have there.
I do also like that
I
you
do
can kind of just, because of the blip and because of that 5-year age gap, you can kind of just throw characters out and be like, they're this age, deal with it.
Why not? Well, and also like if it ends up being, Logan Kim, which I still need to see the new Ghostbusters. I know it wasn't good, but I still got to see
I
that.
thought it was fine. I thought it was good if you like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, so maybe I'll enjoy it. There isn't a lot of time to like. We're at a point in the multiverse saga where adding new characters doesn't make a ton of sense because we are going to get to Secret Wars, and it's basically. I've been saying this whole time. It's going to be a soft reboot of the MCU, so you can reuse some actors going through that. You don't have to, but bringing in a character like Amadeus Cho to be your Hulk going forward, or teaming him with She-Hulk or other members of the Hulk family makes a lot of sense. It's another character representing another non-white character in the MCU. So you've got an Asian lead. Once you've got Amadeus Cho as your Hulk, like I think
And
that makes a
more
ton of
interesting
sense.
to me, we got another champion. We have another
That
member
too.
of the younger squad. I still agree and disagree on Secret Wars being a full-on calling it a reboot doesn't feel right because we do have this younger age of heroes that we're setting up.
That's why I said it's soft reboot.
Well, I think reboot is too hard of a word for any of this. I think transition period would probably be the best thing for me, where we're just transitioning some characters out and some characters into a higher standing point.
So the reason I say reboot is just I do think the world post Secret Wars gives them the opportunity, if they wanted to either recast or re-envision certain characters. Like if you wanted
Absolutely.
to have Iron Man, Captain America, or Steve Rogers, not necessarily Captain America.
Yeah,
but
I think they'll have the opportunity. I just don't think that's going to be the point. Which is why
We'll
I
have
don't
to wait
love
and
calling
see.
it a reboot. We haven't
Fair
even
enough.
talked about a couple of the best episodes of the show yet that I want to throw out.
I mean, we talked about every episode of the show.
You're right, we have. I'm getting to my points.
know.
Deborah Jo Rupp in this was perfect. I love her
Didn't
so
need
much.
much. We got enough.
We got one word from her, and that was all I needed. Just her calling Billy a hooligan is perfect.
I mean, he was stealing from Agatha at the time.
Oh yeah, but we haven't even really talked about like one of the big characters for this episode, and that is Eddie, Billy's boyfriend, who has one of the sweetest moments with Billy in the show. Their "I love you" moment in the car was so great, being both this really happy moment for both of them, and also this kind of reveal moment for Billy. It was one of my favorite scenes of the show so far. I love that Billy has that support system, and I think it really helps in mirroring Billy to Agatha, where Agatha has gone through that and has this, for all intents and purposes with Rio, broken relationship, whatever it may be, like however it ended. To see that versus Billy, who has this very happy relationship. Who's to say how it survives the Witch's Road after him lying to his boyfriend about not doing this, but or while keeping it out. But
the build of Billy Kaplan as this traumatized character, I think it's so well portrayed here. Like this speech specifically that he has with his boyfriend of, I don't remember anything. I'm faking it so I don't upset my parents anymore. After seeing the trauma that he went through with their thoughts when he first came home, it's so heartbreaking knowing like this character died on the cusp of adulthood, and then you thrust this boy into this 13-year-old body, and him having to adjust to life without anything that he knew from the hex life that he had is just it's so tragic. Like this character is so fucked up because of all of this. And we see that at the end of just like, he doesn't trust Agatha. He doesn't want to trust anybody. He just wants family.
yeah, you can see it like him. Everything he did with Agatha was an impulse decision, which I think is one of the coolest parts about this. Like the time between him meeting Ralph to him waking Agatha is like maybe a few hours.
Yeah, I would say
And
days
most of
at
that,
most.
well, he's wearing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They go and meet Ralph. He goes home. He thinks about it for a second, and then heads off over to Westview. There is no thought in this teenager's brain. It's just action, go, 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 and I love that.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it. It is a kid in this teenage body, right? So
Oh, yeah, it's
impulse
perfect.
control is not going to be at the top of the list, right? It makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the show, what happens next. It's
Man,
still
we've only got
wild that
2 weeks, and this is over, and that makes me sad.
it is so crazy that there's been this much happening to the show. We're at this point of like getting the backstory reveal for a character, and there's still 3 episodes left.
Yeah.
It's actually
Which is why
paced like a normal TV show, and I love that.
Yeah, because next week will end with some revelation about Rio. And then the first episode of the two-parter is Rio's backstory and Rio's involvement in this whole story. And then the finale ends up being some big final trial where Nicholas Scratch as an agent of Mephisto is what's waiting for them at the end of the road. They got to fuck his shit up to get Agatha's power back and reveal Tommy. Book end.
I'm still curious how
Pick it up in
how
Vision
this
Quest.
wraps up. Like,
I mean, it wraps up in Vision Quest. It doesn't wrap up here. This is
well, it's more how
this
does
is the
Agatha's
Empire
story
Strikes
wrap up?
Back of this. This is the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy, and I really hope they nail the ending.
Yeah, I think. Well, I still think to a degree Agatha's story will be wrapped up here, because as much as like this is a Billy-centric episode, this is still Agatha's story.
This is Agatha's show, yeah.
So I'm curious on that stuff. But that's all next week. That's all next week and the week after. Oh my god.
Then we have to find something else to watch.
I'm just going to start rewatching the show, honestly.
You're not wrong. Although we'll be at the end of spooky season. But before we get to the end of spooky season, do keep your eyes on that at D plus us, on the YouTubes, on the Twitterverses, on all of the places to see what spooky shenanigans we get up to through the rest of this month of October. We got at least one regular episode.
We got one more regular episode before Halloween that will be spooky themed.
I still gotta go watch that.
I mean, I gotta go watch it again, just so I can have my notes for the recording, because I have to do a plot recap on that one.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Go check out the main show, though, folks, when that comes out. Go check out future episodes of this show when it comes out. Mitch, where can people do that?
Oh, everywhere. I just said like a minute and a half ago.
And it's late.
At D plus us, all spelt out, all on the socials.
Yeah, find us there. Find us everywhere. We will be here in the next episode. But until
YouTube.
then, have a magical day.
Excelsior!